Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. I wasn't even looking at that.
That was good. You did it without the script.
It's almost like 3 years.
Yeah, we're only
in.
like 4 years into a podcast.
Oh God, is it 4? Oh, no. Today, we are joined by returning guest and host of the podcast, Hey Riddle Riddle. Welcome back, Adal Rifai.
Hello,
Adal Rifai. God damn it! I knew I fucked it up. God damn it!
I wasn't gonna say.
God damn it!
Yeah,
I was gonna say. So sorry. It is Adal.
No, and I knew that, and I literally asked the part that I was more concerned about was the last name.
You texted me yesterday about pronouncing Adal's last name.
Yeah, I do that every time.
You didn't put any time into the first name.
No, that's what happens because I'm like, oh, I got this. I nailed this part.
Yeah, welcome back, Adal. Thanks for coming back.
What a great warm welcome.
Yeah, whoever the fuck you are.
Oh God, no! I mean, the last time you were on, we made you use up content you could have used on your show by making you do Riddler riddles.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the way I'm rewarded is that you guys don't even know who I am.
Yeah, we're really good at building a rapport with our guests. And
I'm negging him. That's how we get.
Listen, Abdul, we loved having you on. Ahmed, if you could come back anytime.
Oh, no. So specific with where it's coming from.
My God. Well, that was a great start. This is what you get for not looking at the script.
Ride.
Yeah, that's right. But we brought you back because the last time you were on, we talked a little bit about like other kind of comic stuff you were into. And I think even then you mentioned that you liked The Authority.
It always wins.
Yes, it does. That's right. Was like this a series that you like? Were you like following it as it came out? Was it like a thing you came to later?
Yeah, so I may have talked about this earlier, so if it's been a while, so if I have, forgive me. But yeah, I was very much into comics as a kid, very much into like X-Men, X-Force, Spider-Man, all that jazz, Excalibur.
Are those like comic books or?
I'll just only talk. I'll direct all my focus to one of the hosts.
Oh no!
Yeah. But then I fell out of it, and then I didn't get back into comics until my roommate, a gentleman named Jason Chin, was telling me, this was maybe like 2012 or something, was telling me about all the stuff that he was into, and he's like, oh, you never read this, you got to read this. And he had a huge library of anything and everything. So he gave me Stormwatch first. Right. And I flew through Stormwatch, and then he gave me Authority, and I'm just remember really being taken by it. I think it was just a really cool. I just really enjoyed the characters, like the powers of people, and then I love that there's and I'm sure we'll get into it, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun here, but I really enjoyed like especially like Midnighter and Apollo. That there's like this almost one for one with Superman and Batman. But they make them like a romantic couple, which I thought was outstanding. And from the books I've read, they never once make fun of the fact. And this was like late 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s.
Yeah, The Authority, I think, starts in 98 or 99 or something like that. Yeah.
But I love so much that as far as what I've read, they never go low for like any sort of gay jokes or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
They make fun of them for like spending time together, where they're like, this couple, like, which is great to just be like, we're going to treat them as we treat any couple. But I just remember that standing out as like one of the coolest things of just like, what if Superman and Batman were dating? And everyone was just like, yeah, awesome. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a weirdly high concept book too. I think, The Authority is kind of odd because on one hand, it's like, oh yeah, they're like gritty superheroes, and you go like, okay, fine. And then on the other hand, there's like higher dimensions and like a guy that communicates with cities, and like it's sort of like a crazy book.
Clark Went. What's their couple name?
I'm sorry, you're trying to make like the ship name for Superman, Batman?
Yeah, Cluse.
Well, if you take this super from Superman and the man from Batman, It's Superman. Shit.
Nope, Man. That's it.
Man. One of my favorite indie bands.
I mean, true. Yeah, great band.
Yeah, and there's the weird thing of, I can't remember which book it is, but there's something, I can't remember his name, but there's some like terrifying creature from another dimension who's like a blue prince with horns.
Yeah.
He almost looks like Thanos or something.
Yeah,
but his name is like,
I think it's Regis.
Regis, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Where I remember like that just being so funny, where it's like this intimidating like killer of worlds and this ancient being who's been around and like eaten children, and his name is Regis. I mean,
I'm going to eat your children.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it was Philbin.
Yeah.
we're all having fun here.
Did you ever like we'll get to it a little bit with the questions, but
Yeah.
did you ever read the sort of versions of these Wildstorm characters when they like folded them properly into DC continuity? Because when they did the New 52, they like brought Wildstorm in. They made like a new Stormwatch series, and they put Martian Manhunter on the team, and they did like stuff like that. Did you ever read like those things?
No, I purely read Stormwatch and then The Authority. Basically just like the stuff my friend had, and then that was it. I had no idea that they overlapped with the DC world. I didn't even know it was like a DC comic.
I think like DC acquired them, and then they started making like connections, and then eventually just folded them in. Like Midnighters had a couple of series.
Wow.
Grifter is going to get a backup story in a Batman comic coming out and stuff like that. Like some of these characters are like part of it now. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. We got lots of questions. Should we just get into it? Because there's lots of crazy Authority stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about how the police need more funding. We need to militarize them.
That'd be an insane bait and switch, is that we're pro Authority and not the and not the comics. Just
yeah,
Authority.
We're talking about how great Authority is.
We're just talking about Authority as a concept.
Yeah, a police state is what we want.
We should all be crushed under the boot of the government.
Yeah,
we could be so lucky.
And of course, Adal agreed to be on the show because he shares these views.
Yeah.
No. You said my name wrong. It's Adal. So direct any hate mail to Adal, this guy,
at gmail.com. That's incredible. All right, well, let's get into today's question.
Let's do it, yeah.
First, we're going over to Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook.
Oh, just genius writing. First question comes from the most interesting resident.
Okay. Stephen Marion Almagro.
You can't look at the... It
I didn't
ruins
look at my
the
notes.
joke.
I knew it.
Anyways, Stephen asks, can Apollo and Midnight work in a continuity that already has a Superman and a Batman, given that they are clear analogs?
Right. So, I mean, we don't need to talk about anything specific, but now that they're part of DC, do you think it's weird to have Superman and Batman who have like BFF's energy, and then also have Apollo and Midnighter who are like, if they finally addressed what's really between them?
I think they absolutely could exist together. One, because different names.
Yes, totally.
Two, because even though they're clear pastiches or homages, their powers are different enough. Like Apollo's the sun god, and he gets recharged by the sun. You know, obviously it's what it is. But and then Midnighter, I think, has a cool play on Batman where it's like for anyone who hasn't read. And my apologies, I haven't read these books in forever, but from what I remember, he can like predict every move someone's going to make in terms. He's like a battle strategist. Yeah, like
he's got like a fight computer in his head that like runs through like Sherlock Holmes style, runs through like all the moves, and then
also has a crippling drug addiction.
Yeah.
I think he constantly says before hitting someone, I've run through this battle a million times in my head or something like that. And he's like, you have no chance of winning. I can hit you right now, but I'm asking you to stop. And they're always like, no. And then he hits them and knocks them dead or whatever.
But one instance where he loses.
No. Oh, that's right. With Regis. But I think I think they're different enough and they're interesting enough and their dynamic is wholly unique. Yeah. There's another series. What's the Kurt Busiek series?
Oh,
I'm sure he has a ton.
The one that's also like a takeoff on the Justice League.
Yeah, it's like it's like Batman is a vampire and Robin is like I can't remember.
Shoot,
Astro City.
I'm not going to remember now, but
Astro City is great.
But DC then pastiched that pastiche. They brought them in as a different parallel Earth. Yeah.
I think it's part of the Astro City world.
Is it?
I believe so.
Oh, geez.
I've got one.
I gotta give Astro City another.
But that's one of that book, which I believe is the second book. If you get the trades, I think that's the second book. That story is just phenomenal.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like, what if Batman was a vampire?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, Midnighter more than Apollo has shown up like in DC proper.
Yeah.
And he's been really fun in there because it's like a takeoff on that idea of like the Batman with prep time is that he doesn't need the prep time because he has the fight computer, so he can win.
He's basically Batman and Alfred in one. And all his technology is just in his head.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, he is with Apollo, like they're together in that continuity, but he also has this sort of like fun, flirty relationship with Nightwing. Like they've teamed up a bunch of the comics, and he makes, he's always checking Nightwing out and stuff like that.
How could you not?
Because he's Nightwing, of course.
The best ass.
What a snack! Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean, I think Adal's right. I think they're different enough. Like Superman is an alien who happens to have like the ability to like take in solar energy. I might be remembering this wrong, but I think Apollo was like experimented on and gets the power. And I also think him not being exposed to sunlight is worse for him than for Superman just without sunlight just is a human basically. Apollo without sunlight I think like is actually like a problem. Like I think that's
like passed out.
Yeah.
And I think we've been lenient enough with other, like there's 80 characters out in comics who are basically like Wolverine. Like I feel like there's only so many good ideas, and if you don't start recycling them in a clever way, then we're just out of good comics, I guess. I remember in like 94, 95 when I was like super into comics, I think there's called Cyberforce or something, where it's like there's a guy, it was like an Image comic, and there's a guy who's like the main everyone loved, who was named Ripclaw, and his thing was his fingers were claws, and I'm like, what are we doing? That's just Wolverine. Like you can't do that. And then as I grew older, I was like, you know what? Good for you. Like why everyone, Marvel, DC, they all have shady histories of like borrowing from each other. So it's like who cares at some point?
And even within themselves, how many Bat characters are there? How many Wolverines are there? And like Daken and Lady Deathstrike and all these other kind of ones.
There's Wolverine.
Oh my god,
hormones are out of control. Who has, instead of fingers for claws, just has zits that have little claws coming out.
Oh Jesus!
But man, can he play basketball?
Yeah.
I just thought of you could make like a Hulk one and call it Pulverine.
Oh, I think that's on a different website.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. No, I think we answered that one. That was good.
I'm glad you didn't say Pulvertine.
Pulvertine is too many.
Pulvertine is one of my favorite supplements. I sell it. If anybody is looking for Pulverine, I can give you 8 weeks for free. And after that, you become a member of Pulverine, and you will be selling as well.
Our sponsor for this episode is a pyramid scheme
that we're at the bottom of.
Yeah.
That's incredible. All right, let's go to the next question.
Let's do it.
From Paul C., who asks, can you explain what sliding Albion is?
Yeah, so Adal, you brought up Regis. Mm-hmm. He's part of sliding Albion. Do you remember that story?
I remember Regis was part of that those people, or that kingdom, or whatever it was. I mean, Albion is like the original name for England or Great Britain, so that's how I know Albion. And then I assume sliding Albion was, when I read it, I remember just being like, sliding Albion is basically like a separate England in a different dimension or time that swoops in and takes over our England or Albion. So that's how I took it.
That's exactly it. It's a parallel Earth where like alien first contact happens in like the 15th century in England, and then the
fucking rules.
But then like the aliens leave after a certain point. So there are some of these kind of blue-skinned aliens there that have kind of become like the nobility, and then there's like technological advancement and stuff like that, but that world keeps getting dragged into like world war. Like they have like they talk about having like multiple world wars, like more than we've had. And then eventually they turn their focus to Earth. They came once and then they left, and then they come back again, and we meet this Regis guy with horns. He's this big blue guy, and they come to like invade Earth again.
So you want to be invaded by Regis.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that go.
Great.
No.
It is interesting having spent some time in England, and I went to school there for a tiny bit. It is interesting how, and very confusing, how many different names they have in terms of like England, Great Britain, the UK, Albion, and then within England, well, I guess not even within, I don't know the proper way to express it, but like there's Wales, which I'm sure they want to be their own separate thing, but they're also contained somewhat with, it's all so confusing.
It's all the same place. It's fine.
There are so many different versions of like pseudo autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Quebec.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the short version is that Sliding Albion is a parallel England that includes these alien nobles, but they're dying out or something. To be honest, this was the part of the Authority where I was like, this is maybe going too far for my tastes. They basically describe that these alien nobles are going to invade Earth to like forcibly procreate more alien bloodlines. They say it much more directly than I'm saying it, because it just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't remember that part. That sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty weirdly graphic in a way. Like, they don't show anything, but like the plot is very sinister. More than just taking over the world sinister.
Jeez.
Yeah. Sliding Albion's a bad place.
Wow. And come from like no real world history either. So.
But I mean, it's definitely got the imperialist thing, but they also wear like those kind of traditional, like British, I don't know what you call those, like the red jackets with like the string, like the gold string across. I don't know what
I call
called.
those jaunty jackets.
Yeah. They come over with jaunty jackets and kind of like beefeater sort of look kind of thing.
That's awesome.
It's a cool design and a horrifying place.
Wow.
It is funny for his just absolutely stupid as America is with all that we have going on. It is funny of like, beefeaters is like, it's just the names England comes up with is and this is so silly of me, but Canada is still part of the sovereignty, right?
So yeah,
tread carefully.
It's again in the way that England, Great Britain, and UK are all kind of weird, confusing, separate things. Canada's the Queen of Canada is also the Queen of England.
Yes,
but we are not.
Wait, what?
But we are not part of the UK.
Yeah,
like we're not part of England or the UK. But she is coincidentally not coincidentally, but sort of concurrently the Queen of Great Britain,
it's the same as
the Queen of Canada,
right?
the Queen of Australia, the Queen of India.
Yeah.
So,
I knew she was like your figurehead, but I couldn't remember if you all are considered part of the. Yeah.
We're part of the Commonwealth, which basically just means we all share the same monarch, but we're all technically separate entities.
Have you thought about taking the Queen off your loons and putting Anne of Avonlea on it? Anne of Green Gables.
God, invoking both Anne of Green Gables and Road to Avonlea is the most like 90s Canadian thing. I'm getting so many flashbacks.
Did you grow up here too?
Yeah,
jeez.
Also, please say hello to Mario Lemieux for me. I know. I know everyone there knows him.
Yeah. What other Canadian thing do we have?
Terry Fox. Yeah.
Terry Fox.
Yeah. Moranis. Yeah. Let's walk down an alley with him.
God, so funny.
Wow. What a Paul C. What a cerebral question.
Yeah. Way to go, Paul.
I was just talking to somebody the other day where it's like, it's so funny to me that you talk to an American. If like an Australian talks to an American, they're like, "G'day, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie." And if like a Brit talks to an American, they're like, "Fish and chips, governor." And if a Canadian talks to an American, they're like, "Oh, don't you know maple syrup?" And then if somebody talks to an American, they're like, "No healthcare, cheeseburger." And Americans are like, "What the fuck?" Like, I love we're so willing to reduce all cultures to like a catchphrase, and when anyone does it to us, we're like, "How could you? We are so complex." And it's like, fuck us. Like, what?
It's also very sweet. It's very sweet that that's what you think we say about you.
I'm sure it's much worse, and I've heard much worse. But it's
the more insidious thing is that like many of the problems in the States are still problems up here, but we're still in the denial phase.
Yes, that's very true.
We're still pretending they don't exist.
We believe the hype that from everybody else that we're just polite and nice people.
Yeah, we believe our own hype too much, I think. Yeah.
All right, let's leave Facebook and head on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
First question comes from Braydon. Yes, the donkey rises.
The most insane Twitter name of all time.
I love that they changed their name because of our podcast.
Because of the weird drop you did.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. I'm going to do that with more people. See if they'll start. I'll just come up with random sounds and see if they have to change their name to match it.
You just want this to be like a cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the doctor now.
Oh, no.
Braydon asks, what is the origin story of Grifter? I see so much of him in DC lore and yet know nothing about him other than his visual look.
I know a bit of Grifter's DC version of his origin.
Yeah, he's a small dog that goes from town to town.
That's Wishbone.
Oh, no, I thought, no, that's, it's the Littlest Hobo.
Oh, that's the Littlest Hobo. Another Canadian thing, yeah.
And I do have to pause, and I'm obligated to say that books are important and Wishbone is in hell.
Oh, no.
Sorry, just have to say that.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Wishbone is one of the dogs that doesn't go to heaven?
He's the only one.
It was for everything he did with Don Quixote.
Oh, my God.
So I don't remember who Grifter is. Who's
Grifter? His name is Cole Cash, which is a very
name.
90s kind of.
Sounds like a wrestler, like a WCW wrestler.
His mask kind of looks like Deadpool if it was just a loose handkerchief. It's just like a red bandana that covers his whole face, but has like the sort of Deadpool kind of eye.
Well, that's a jobber for sure.
Shape on it. But otherwise, he just wears like a green jacket and like, kind of pants with lots of pockets. Like it's the 90s kind of paramilitary sort of aesthetic. He's part of Wildcats, which was a different team in the sort of Wildstorm universe that includes the Authority and Stormwatch and that. I think he probably joined the Authority at some point, or he was part of one of the Stormwatch teams at some point. In DC, his origin story is that these aliens called the Demonites, which are a thing from Wildstorm, kind of kidnap him and experiment on him, and he escapes the experiment, and then he gets the ability. He's like sort of telepathically linked to Demonites, so he could tell where they are. Like if they're hidden, like Skrull style, he could basically see Demonites, and then he's also this like expert marksman and all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, he always has like 2 handguns.
Yeah.
Okay, I've read. I remember reading some Wildcats. I remember him on the cover, maybe holding 2 handguns,
like a true patriot.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, in DC they kind of went that way with him. I think in Wildstorm he had some telepathy and telekinesis, as well as being like a gun-toting kind of great fighter guy.
Yeah.
I think he might have had healing ability too, not to riff on Deadpool too much.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So he sounds like, from where I store the most comic book knowledge, he sounds like he's basically Shatterstar meets Wolverine.
Yeah.
And with some Deadpool.
Yeah, I think somewhere between those three, there's like a nexus point of who Grifter is.
You have no idea what he just talked about. You're like,
I really only know Shatterstar because I was like, who are these extra people in Deadpool 2? And I had to go on Wikipedia.
I used to love Shatterstar, and then I realized everybody hates him. Yeah, his thing was like he could become a master of like any weaponry. So it's like pick up any weapon and immediately be like a master of it, which is kind of a silly thing, but aren't all superpowers silly?
Yeah.
I mean, so how many weapons are there? I mean, it's like guns, swords, like there's only so many things. So it's like, you just know how to.
Yeah. He picks up a stool and all of a sudden he's
bar fighting.
Yeah, bar fighting.
I would love if Grifter is just like, my superpower, 3-card Monty. Follow the queen. I would love any sort of just to write a superhero story that's just like this is a person who can't climb a ladder without getting a boner, or just like the most like the people with the most boring. I mean, I guess they made a. Now that I'm talking out loud, I guess they made a movie about it with Ben Stiller called
the Mystery Men.
The Mystery Men,
which is kind of just Doom Patrol.
I do like the idea of ladder boater guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so hard to get. Like, he keeps getting stuck inside each like empty slot.
Ow, 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 ow.
And that's also saying that he has a big dick. I guess that's not necessarily true. This has been a breeze.
Yeah, it actually hasn't changed how I climb ladders at all. Yeah, no, I mean, I think in DC, what they've done with him is take that idea of telepathy and that, and they make him sort of like, he could just tell when people don't belong, which is its own kind of weird problematic way of saying that. But he could find demonites, and then they also used him in Future's End as a guy who could tell who was from another Earth. Like, you could sense if you were from Earth too.
His catchphrase is "Go back the way you came."
Oh god! So sorry, he's a gun-toting paramilitary guy that can tell if you're not from there.
It's called Captain America.
What a nightmare! What a nightmare!
Wow. All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
Yeah. And the first...
Sorry, hold up. I'm still on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
Twitter, let me...
We just cold.
Catch my breath.
We came in cold.
Yeah.
You guys ran so quickly to Instagram. How are you? Just give me a few minutes. I just... Just need some electrolytes.
I mean, after that ladder guy, I can imagine. Hold on, the blood has to go back to my hand.
What a bad power. I try to even think of how you use that in like a fight, and all I can think of is the Jackie Chan ladder fight from First Strike, except instead of him being inside the ladder, it's just him spinning the ladder on his dick. But that's all I can think of.
He finds out that the power is actually that he can move blood to wherever he wants in his own body.
Right.
He just keeps blacking out in fights.
And then there's a superhero named Jeff, and he gives like the wettest kisses.
Oh no!
just stuff like that, where it's just like, I've never read Dial H for Hero. Is that kind of what that is? Where it's
oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, maybe slightly less horny, but generally, yeah, about that level. Yeah,
that's great.
Wettest kisses.
My power? Cats hate me. I just want to write that. I also had an idea. DC, if you're listening, I have an idea for a Nightcrawler story. It's called the Teleportance of Being Earnest. That's all I have is the title. Please DM me if you want more information, and we can collab.
There's so many levels to that question.
Yeah, I mean, God, the character that got away from DC.
Yeah. Talking to DC about that character.
The Oscar Wilde pun level to it.
That's like asking me how my ex-girlfriend's doing.
And I'm sorry, that was for Marvel. It's a Nightcrawler spinoff, Teleportance of Being Earnest.
The crazy thing though is that character was almost a DC character. He was pitched to be a villain for the Legion of Superheroes. Yeah. They didn't like it. So Claremont just took it to Marvel.
That's fantastic.
Wild.
That's incredible. All right. If you're prepared, we'll do the first question.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm joining you all on Instagram.
Okay, let's do it.
First question comes from Robbie's Just This Guy.
Yeah, I mean, with that attitude, that's all you'll ever be.
Who asks, other than the Sleeper series, I'm pretty unfamiliar with the Authority. How are they better or worse than the Justice League? Do they get along? I could see personality conflicts.
Yeah, so just generally, we're talking just... If you're familiar with the Justice League, what might surprise you about the Authority if people are jumping in and reading that book?
I think it's what separates it from the Justice League. I don't know if it's better than Justice League, but I feel like it's just interesting enough to check out. From what I remember, it's a little darker than most Justice League I've ever read. And then I'm just, like I said, I'm just more of a fan of like the powers people have.
Yeah.
Jack Hawksmoor, who can basically, he's basically like friends with cities. So he can phase into a city and like know where things are and know what's going on with the city and travel from one city in the world to another city in the world somehow. Like, I just am really, and then the engineer, who's like, it's a woman who drank like a gallon of hyper specific metal that replaced her blood, and then she can like do things with the metal to coat her skin or to form machinery or whatever. It's just I just find it all fascinating. So with Justice League, like Green Lantern is just not my jam. I don't even know what Martian Manhunter does. I don't know what Blue Beetle does. I don't know. I don't really know these characters very well. But outside of like the main four with Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, I don't know the rest of Justice League. So I find the powers really interesting. And then I feel like within the darkness, there's a lot of what I remember to be like pretty funny moments.
Yeah.
Where like Midnighter and Jack Hawksmoor team up, I think, a bunch. And I remember there being a line where like they drop in on the bad guys who think they're getting away with something, and they say like, "Hello, welcome to our city." And then Midnighter says, "We're here to hit you." Like it's just like it's not overly clever, but it's just like dumb enough to where I'm like, that's kind of funny. Like I don't know, where I find a lot of, and this is my problem with the movies. And again, I have to say, like, I grew up a Marvel kid and I have not read much DC at all. But from what I have read, and obviously from like the movies, DC seems so devoid of humor sometimes, or like self-awareness,
which is like it's so sad that's the
the
image they put out in the world, because the comics are so not that.
But a lot of the sort of like, especially like 80s and 70s like mainstream stuff can feel that way sometimes.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like even the Arrow TV show, devoid of humor, but Green Arrow is an objectively funny character.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. But I think I've just been bummed by some of the DC. If anybody knows like a super funny DC title for me to check out, please let me know. And I like I said, I had no idea Authority was now a DC title. I thought it was like its own independent thing. Yeah. But I feel like even with the pastiche of Midnighter as Batman and Apollo Superman, even just being able to see Batman fight and then be like, I care about someone on this team so much that if they're in danger, I'm like a wreck or whatever that is, versus like Batman typically from movies and from what I've read tends to be like, I don't really care about anyone except for like Robin, but he can take, whatever that, I don't know. Maybe he cares about Robin as much as Midnighter cares about Apollo, but it's just, it just,
God, I hope not.
Different. Yeah, I guess that's a weird thing to say, but it's just such a different energy. And then I think Jenny Sparks is a badass. Like I really enjoy Jenny Sparks as the leader, and like that she, I'm just a big fan of the choices made and the interesting takes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, so we've already talked about Apollo and Midnighter, but another neat thing about Apollo is like in Justice League, Superman, even if he's not technically the leader of the Justice League, is such like the symbol, the voice, the kind of person you want to be the leader, that is always kind of in that position. But Apollo isn't on the Authority. Apollo is a heavy hitter that is told where to go and what to do.
Yeah,
like, he's more of not as a personality, but he's more of a blunt instrument as a hero.
Absolutely.
And then, Jenny Sparks is a character who has electricity powers, but is also the spirit of the 20th century.
What?
It's like the Authority feels like you take something like Justice League, like very mainstreamy type powers, and then you also take the Doom Patrol, like esoteric philosophical concepts, and you meet them in the middle somewhere. So you have Jenny Sparks, who electricity powers, but also is the spirit of the 20th century. She dies when the 20th century ends. And then a new character with her soul is born called Jenny Quarks, who has quantum powers, and she's the spirit of the 21st century.
What?
Because it's like electricity is the big 20th century thing. Quantum nuclear is the big 21st century. Like, there's these weird philosophical things. Yeah, Jack Hawksmoor being like, whatever, I don't know what you would call it, like metropathic. He can communicate with cities.
Yeah. And then before Jenny Sparks, there was Jenny Snarks, and she would be the spirit of candlelight from the 1800s. And there's also from what I remember, there's also a cool thing where they are very aware, because there's just constantly danger. I feel like these books are very action packed, where like there's always something going wrong.
Yeah.
And there's always an attack on like LA or some city. But I feel like from what I remember, they are very aware of like, hey, we saved the day, but real quick, a ton of innocent people died. And then they're like, well, but we stopped it before any more could get hurt. So as a group, let's agree that we save more lives than what we're taking today. And so they are I feel like very realistic of like, hey, a ton of people died. Like, let's not fool around. Thousands of people lost their lives, either because of our actions, because we punched somebody into a building and somebody was in that building, or because we didn't get here soon enough. So I feel like it's fairly gritty in terms of like from what I know of Superman, nobody really dies. Superman always kind of gets there in time for the most part. I'm sure there's issues where somebody
they certainly don't don't keep the looking glass on the damage the way Authority does. Also, there's a bit in the Authority where they go to sliding Albion, and they basically the engineer has a line where she says, like, we're here to make the world a better place. Did we mean only our world? And they go to a different universe, do something like unilaterally, kind of quote unquote save the day, come back, and then the engineer is like, I know I suggested this, but like, we really crossed a line today. That was pretty crazy.
I feel like they're more reflective than other superheroes in a way that's like realistic. So they're less if Superman's a Boy Scout, these are like the 14-year-old kids who skip Boy Scouts to like get into their parents' liquor, like that. That's,
yeah.
And there's one of my a panel that really stands out to me, or a moment that you all might know better than I do. One of my favorite. I mean, I'm obsessed with Grant Morrison. I'm sure everyone is. He's so brilliant. One of my favorite things he ever did was in his run of X-Men, and I hope this is him and not somebody else. I believe in his run of X-Men, there's a part where like the Sentinels are attacking the X-Men, and there's like a one panel shot of just all red, and it's like Cyclops is like taking out all the Sentinels, and it's just like a huge red panel, and then it cuts to like Wolverine and Colossus maybe, and Wolverine's like, sometimes I forget why he's the leader or something.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like depending on when he wrote his series, I feel like he ripped off the Authority, because there's a panel where Jenny Sparks becomes electricity, and she takes up the entire LA skyline, and like she blasts all these airplanes out of the air with her she becomes like a force field of electricity. The bad guys' planes fly into her and like lose power and crash. And she screams as this big wall of electricity, get out of my city. And then they cut to Midnighter and Jack Hawksmoor, and he says something like, is it okay for me to be so afraid of her? And the other guy's like, yeah, she's the leader, and that reminds it, or whatever. So it feels like, depending on what year Morrison wrote that, it feels like a very similar vibe.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
That rules.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know that Morrison did X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
That's where you get those X-Men costumes with just the big, like, yellow X. The ones that they kind of did for Dark Phoenix or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like the Morrison era X-Men.
That rules.
Wasn't his storyline that like the Danger Room comes to life? Or it's basically it's almost like Jarvis and Vision. It's almost like the Danger Room becomes a sentient being.
Yeah, which of course, that sounds like Morrison.
Yeah, it's the most Morrison thing. Adal, have you watched the Doom Patrol TV show at all?
I watched the first season and really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very weird, silly, maybe the best soundtrack of any TV show ever.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, that's all Morrison's Doom Patrol. So if like reading that would probably it's very much in line with this sort of.
Yeah, that's true. If you're looking for a fun DC comic, just read Doom Patrol. Yeah.
Doesn't Doom Patrol have a character that's a city, like a city?
Yeah, it's Danny the Street. Yeah, it's a sentient teleporting transvestite city. I don't think Danny is trans.
Tread lightly.
I can't remember. I think Danny maybe in the comics started transvestite, and now they've sort of morphed the gender identity a little bit over time. But
yeah, I mean, I love the way that they sort of do that in the show too. They do a great job.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Cool. All right, let's now be prepared. This is gonna be a cold bucket of water. Okay. We're leaving Instagram.
Oh my god.
And we're heading on over to email.
Check
Let me start stretching. Okay.
All right. First question from email. From Darren Matthias, who asks, well, speak of the devil, did Morrison poach his multiverse ideas, Shifters, the Carriers, the Bleed from the Authority? Or were those DC ideas first?
So
it's almost like...
So if you read Morrison's DC work and his work in stuff like Multiversity, where he's actually talking about the multiverse, he talks about ships. He shows different versions of a shift ship, and one is called a carrier, and it looks like the Wildstorm carrier. which is the ship, which is the home base of the Authority. We should say,
is that like partner swapping?
Yeah, kind of. But the Authority's home base is this ship that sits between universes in this space called the Bleed. And the Bleed is now like a DC canon thing. It's the space between worlds.
The space between that. They stole that from Dave Matthews, of course.
Yeah. That's also what that song was about, was the Bleed.
Yeah. There's also a part where the King of the Castle crashes into a dirty rascal.
Oh my god!
The spaceship itself is sentient, right? Like they say, like the spaceship does what it wants. We can kind of guide it or ask it stuff, but the spaceship kind of is on its own little journey, which is it's really fascinating to be like.
It's powered by like a baby universe.
Yeah,
it's like in its engine, and they say like if we let that baby universe out, it would overwrite our universe. Like, there's a lot of these again weirdly high concept stuff in a book where you also get Midnighter just going like, "I'm here to hit you."
Yeah,
I actually heard that baby universe's real name is Grogu.
No, I feel like that's a really interesting take to be like, we have this cool ass futuristic ship that is our base, but it has its own wants and dreams and personality, and it kind of does. It's kind of on constant vacation, and we kind of ask it to go somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea of the Bleed being this sort of red space between like worlds, you even see in the Bleed, you see the way they do the visual, it looks like sort of 2-dimensional images, and those are all of the different parallel worlds. All of that DC has now appropriated as part of like the actual function of their multiverse. The Bleed exists. That's what it looks like. There are shift ships. There's the carrier. All of those things work basically exactly the way they did in Wildstorm. That is almost certainly just DC being like, we're folding it all in, including this stuff. And they did it before the New 52. There's a Captain Atom series in like 2006 or something where he ends up in the Wildstorm universe.
Wow.
And they go through the Bleed and do all this stuff, and it sort of works it in. But I wonder if the idea of the Bleed being red and that being sort of like the multiverse thing is Warren Ellis and I can't remember the artist, so I'm so sorry. I wonder if it's them riffing on like the Red Skies thing from the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they're saying like when DC did this, red was like peering through the multiverse. That was the multiverse like ripping apart, and like, what if we use red for our between worlds?
That
and then
definitely
DC was like,
feels
oh, and then we'll take that back again, and it's sort of like a snake eating its tail kind of reference.
Yeah,
that's my wonder. I love that stuff though. That's the thing that like I went back to read a bunch of Authority for this. I'd only read a little bit kind of beforehand, and I was like, man, I love this stuff. I love that kind of like nature of the universe shit. Like that, so cool that that's it also in that book. I kind of can't get over the weird balancing act in the Authority.
Yeah, that rules. I love that. All right, prepare for some whiplash because we're leaving email and we're heading out over to Reddit.
Oh, where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
All right, first question. Oh God, comes from Go Penis Ranger.
Thank you for leaning into that.
Hey, look, if it's there, I'm not gonna just leave it on the floor. I'm gonna play that card.
Okay, go Penis Ranger.
Sorry, what was? I'm sorry. What was that?
Go Penis Ranger.
I have to imagine this person 100% before sex says it's morphing time.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I couldn't think of like a not disgusting riff on that. I was gonna say it's jerkin time or something, but it just felt wrong.
Ooh, now I want pickles.
I didn't. Yeah.
Wait, you did say it's gherkin time, right?
Yeah. When I do it, it really Rita repulses people.
Boo.
I liked it.
Also, penis rangers are racially insensitive. The yellow ones are yellow. It's really unfortunate.
Oh, Jesus. We know Power Rangers is racist. We don't have to go back to it.
Never forget. All right. Go Penis Ranger asks, I don't understand what they mean when they say Jenny Sparks is the spirit of the 20th century.
Right. Yeah.
How does that work?
There's a thing in the Authority where they kind of talk about how they're all like archetypes. Like they know their archetypes. Like
Okay.
there's always meant to be a whatever, like the spirit of your century or something like that. She just happens to fill that role. And again, like she has electricity powers, and so they're making a comment on how electricity shaped the 20th century. But she also literally lives a century. She's born on January 1st, 1900. She dies when the clock strikes, like for Y2K.
It is kind of funny because that sounds crazy, but then it's also like, yep, that could I'm sure somebody lived that long and from then to then.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's almost like the universe makes it happen, but it could just be coincidental.
Yeah.
But she's not like old 100. She's not like Rose in the bookends of Titanic.
Yeah.
Like she's like young the whole time.
Oh.
Back in my day, we used to 23 skidoo. Electricity, gal. Yeah, I feel like Authority has a few characters that seem to be, because I think Engineer dies and is replaced by another Engineer.
Yeah, there's an engineer before Angie Spica.
Yeah. And then there's another character, the Doctor, who at the time of reading it, I didn't realize was probably a ripoff of Doctor Who. But it's
there's
like
an element to that, yeah.
Yeah, but that character is also like, there's been a bunch of doctors before him, and then when they die, whenever the last Doctor dies, all his knowledge goes to the new Doctor.
Oh, wow.
And he can converse with the old Doctor. So there's a lot of there's a lot of that in the Authority where I feel like there's a lot of passing the torch or picking up the mantle, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost like that universe has these like open slots where like mythically you require these types of heroes, and when one is either done their task, or like in the case of Jenny Sparks, the century's over, then you get a
new one.
Jenny Quarks comes in to be the new one, or the thing with the Doctor, like the universe replaces them. It's
Jenny that eats all the time, Jenny Forks. Oh, mwah.
That was nice.
That's kiss.
There's also the Jenny who like keeps ratting out everyone, Jenny Narks.
Oh yeah.
There's the communist one, Jenny Marks.
Oh,
there's the Jenny from Deep Space Nine, Jenny Quark.
Quark. She just wants gold pressed latinum.
She loves latinum. Yeah.
What else?
One who just wants to be outside, Jenny Parks.
Yeah, there's one who wants to have a good time, Jenny Larks.
Yeah, there's one who doesn't believe in material things. Her apartment is very barren, Jenny Starks.
Oh no!
Oh, there's the time that she came back as a dog, Jenny Barks.
Yes. Okay. There's the really gothic Jenny who only reads Sylvia Plath and wears sort of pancake white makeup, Jenny Dark.
There's the one that keeps showing up to like tell you that characters are arriving in Shakespeare plays. It's Jenny Harks.
Yes. There's the one that was the 90s, had the 90s rap hit. I forget the name of the song, but I'm making fun of Jenny Marky Marks. What was that song he had in the 90s? Good Vibrations.
Good Vibrations.
Good Vibrations.
Come on. Way to ruin a Beach Boys classic.
Oh my God, that's right. Oh no. It's Jenny Zarks.
We did them all. Sorry, we did them all.
No, yeah. So we left you nothing.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Moving on. Speaking of the Doctor from Unhappy Veterinarian. Oh no.
These are great handles. I like that this one, you just like both this one and Go-Go Penis Ranger, they got to it first. There's no numbers in there.
No.
It's just Unhappy Veterinarian. He's the first one.
Yeah.
I just read an article that was like the jobs that have like the highest rate of unhappiness. And I think it was like dentist 1, veterinarian 2.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean veterinarian because it's sad to see. Sad to see animals in pain and having to put them down.
And they can only kill like one a week, maybe. It's just like so unfortunate.
And a dentist because you're universally hated.
Yeah.
God,
I just want to kill all of these dogs, and I just like there's one a week, maybe. So sad. Was that not why you get into veterinarian? I don't. But you go in for the killing, and then you got to like help some of them, right?
Oh my god,
is that not? No, it's not a way it is. So Unhappy Veterinarian asks, is the Doctor from the Authority a reality warper?
I mean, he's powerful with magic. I mean, I think Adal's right. I think it is a riff on Doctor Who, because every time there's a new one, they gain all of like the knowledge of all the previous Doctors. And then I think they also gain the power. Mm-hmm. So every new Doctor is like logarithmically more powerful than the one that came before.
There's also like a Sushant of Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Where it's like, you know, he can turn bullets into flowers or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a thing. I don't know if it's in the Authority or if it's in a different Wildstorm comic where they kind of write about how magic is like the cheat codes of the universe. Like, like he has, what he's doing is like taking some of the building blocks of like physics and the universe and just slightly reworking them to get his way. Like that's what magic is, which is kind of neat, because then go over to DC and Doomsday Clock, when magicians go after Dr. Manhattan, he says the same thing. He says it's like looking at like remainders at the end of like at the end of Long Division. It's like you're using the scraps of what built the universe. Yeah. It's like magic and science aren't that different. It's just like a perception kind of shift or whatever. And I think he's got that going on.
This is totally derailing the topic, but what is the DC, the woman who's a magician? Is it Zatarans? What's that?
Oh, Zatanna.
Zatanna. What's her power?
So she is a powerful magician, and she generally channels her magic by speaking backwards.
Gotcha. Because I remember reading, again, loving Grant Morrison, I remember so long ago reading Seven Soldiers.
Yeah.
And I remember loving it, and she was part of it, and I was like, I can't remember. I remember she dresses like a old-timey magician basically on top, and then like fishnet and then cabaret on bottom.
Because she is also a stage magician.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
She does that and then also uses real magic.
I love that. That's very cool.
No, that's Zatanna. Yeah.
Also, I appreciate you acknowledging derailing this podcast. It's something we really don't do. So,
oh yeah, we've never derailed it.
Speaking of railing. All right, let's go to the next question.
All right, let's do it.
From Firebird 0319. 0319.
What?
2319 is a Monsters Inc. joke.
Oh, okay.
I found out the other day what 2319, what that code is.
Like in the real world?
Well, no,
in the monster world?
In Monsters Inc.
I mean, it's for the like contamination, right?
No, it's not. 2319. So 23 is W, 19 is S. It's literally white sock. Because when he turns around, there's a white sock on him. That's what apparently where that is. It's a specific code just for a white sock.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I read that the other day. It could be completely bullshit, but it sounded right.
Yeah, sure.
It makes sense. Yeah. And that's what this whole podcast is about.
And circling around to Monsters Inc.
Don't forget, 7:17 p.m. is code for 69420. Because 7:17 p.m. is exactly 69,420 seconds into any given day. So just a little fun tip from your cool uncle.
All right, you kids have these snacks. I'll see you later.
Guys, I'd rather you do coke inside the house.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Not just you. Wow. All right. Firebird 0319 asks, is there any character that you want to see developed more?
Yeah, who did you want more of? You know, you read The Authority. Obviously, Apollo and Midnight are big characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a character like
Apollo's
the Doctor
kid,
or someone else that you, or who's the one with like the hawk wings?
That's
Swift.
who?
Swift?
Yeah, I feel like Swift is like the least underdeveloped. Where it's just like she can fly. Like, I feel like we don't know a ton about her. I did feel like maybe at certain points the Midnighter and Apollo don't get a ton of development outside of their relationship.
Right.
But then I remember reading, maybe it was a single issue where it's like the entire comic book is backwards, where it basically starts with like the Midnighter doing whatever, and it's basically like the movie trope of like, let's go back. Like,
right.
how did you might be asking yourself, how did I get here, as he's being knocked out or something?
Yeah.
But it's so cool because the very first panel of the comic is basically the last panel, and then it goes in reverse order to the beginning of the story. One of the coolest things I've ever seen done in a comic. But I feel like after I read that, I was like, I feel like I know Midnighter better, and he's more fleshed out and everything. So I feel like definitely Swift is the least underdeveloped.
Yeah, I think I know the least about Swift. Like, I don't even know if like the wings are because she's like angelic, or is she an alien like the Thanagarian thing in DC?
Was it a weird like human centipede thing where they're stitched on?
Yeah, was it a crazy science experiment, a surgery thing? Like,
Sure.
I don't even think I figured out who Swift was after going back and reading a bunch of Authority.
Yeah, that's rad. That character sounds cool. Yeah.
Is there any character in DC or Marvel or any other comic universe named Talon?
Yes, in DC.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Talon is a character who's like an assassin who works for the Court of Owls, which is like a secret society in Gotham.
Very cool. But I was like, why Swift? I was like, if you're going to be a hawk, Talon is like right there. But now I know why.
Well, that's the other thing with Swift. Swift, I think, has like bird feet, has like raptor feet.
Almost like they're a hawk girl. Perfect.
No, that's a copyright issue. You can't do that.
Okay. Robin? No.
We went so far down. He went from hawk straight to Robin. No, nothing for eagles, falcons. Oh, sorry, that one's taken.
Yeah, eagles.
Yeah.
There we go. Nailed it. All right. Let's leave Reddit, and for the last time, the last place we're going is to our Discord.
I played the Dark Squad. The Dark Squad always wins.
Yeah, nailed it, buddy.
I got to pick a different classic rock song every time. So.
You do. It's the rules.
Yeah.
You've got no choice.
Again, because we don't derail this show.
What song was that? I couldn't even begin to guess.
Oh, I was trying to do the Authority always wins, because I was trying to bring it back. Like,
No. I think he knew he was
always wins.
Fucking with you.
I was trying to. Oh no!
I just assumes Canadians only sing Rush.
Oh yeah. I should have done Tom Sawyer.
Do it.
No, I'm not gonna.
I'm the Dark Squad.
When I was 20, I went to a Rush concert with my girlfriend at the time, and it was us and all of the 60-year-olds in Toronto, and we were in the upper bowl, and the stage was obscured by weed smoke before the concert started.
Did Justin Timberlake open that show as well?
No opener. They played 4 hours basically unbroken.
Wow. For like 2 songs?
Yeah, 2 songs. It was YYZ and Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. Oh baby, we've got Canadian Rush jokes all day long.
This is the most Canadian our podcast has been in a while.
Yeah, Adal's coming back for the Tragically Hip episode.
Yeah.
All right, first question from the Discord is from our favorite spacey, sexy texter,
Cosmic DM.
That's right, taking a rocket ship to those DMs. And who asks, did they just become Stormwatch in current continuity? Also, who wins in a fight in Gotham? Jack Hawksmoor or Batman?
So the current continuity thing, as far as I could tell, the Authority as a team, I haven't really seen. They did make a Stormwatch, and it included the Engineer, but it also had Martian Manhunter. They did like a different version of a Wildstorm team.
Yeah.
But the bigger question, a fight in Gotham City, Jack Hawksmoor versus Batman. And I see what he's doing here, because Batman is supposed to like be the city. He knows the city.
Yeah, he's supposed to be home turf, but the joke's on him. Jack Hawksmoor is home turf.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like saying Batman versus Gotham.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack Hawksmoor takes it, because he can phase into the city and like pop up underneath you or from wherever and grab, like, even if Batman's on a rooftop prowling, Jack Hawksmoor can like pop up through the building and grab him and still be like phased into the building, right?
Yeah.
He was born into the city, molded by it.
I wonder though, if there's a chance for it to backfire, where Gotham is such like, you see it in some books where like Gotham itself is a deranged kind of diseased sort of place that if Jack Hawksmoor communicates with it, it fucks him up.
Oh,
it's like eating bad eggs or like
Jenny Forks had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Here's what I want, and my apologies to you two. I'm speaking directly to the heads at DST.
Okay, well, they listen every week, so it makes sense.
I want to write. Basically, I just want to write a comic. I want to write Batman, and he is kicked out of. This might have already been done, and my apologies if it has. He's kicked out of Gotham.
Right.
He has to relocate to Santa Fe now. Does that mean new suit? Not necessarily. Maybe we add some turquoise, right? He has some turquoise inlay, and that's kind of fun. And then what does someone like Batman do when the tallest building is no bigger than 3 stories everywhere?
Right.
And then maybe like George R.R. Martin pops up because he lives in Santa Fe. Right. And there's just some fun stuff of like he's fighting like the Green Hatch Chili Man and like the rattlesnake, stuff like that.
So specific.
Cacti Boy, Segura Girl.
Segura Girl.
But I want to write or if Santa Fe is too exotic, like Batman in Milwaukee or something, like just or Charleston, like just something fun where it's like relocate Batman, take him out of his comfort zone, see what happens when he has to set up he has to set up shop somewhere else. I want to write that story.
Here's how you know that that's a pretty good idea, is when pieces of it kind of exist.
Yes.
Ooh. So not necessarily the relocate to Santa Fe thing, but the idea of Batman in a city less shitty than Gotham as it is. In the recent Joker War arc, we saw like a vision of like what he dreamt of for the future. And it's a Gotham that's clean and safe and the sun is shining. And he has made himself a bat suit he won't wear until Gotham is ready for it. That is sort of shiny and bright with a sort of turquoisey cape and cowl.
Way.
It's like daytime happy Batman suit. And
I feel like an oracle today.
That was, as you were saying that, I was like, damn it, Adal could probably do a real good job writing Batman.
Too bad we don't really have Batman stories anymore. They just don't make them.
Yeah, God. I mean, if only Batman was more commercially viable.
It would be fun if it was like him in Charleston, and it's like a lot of like someone's like, help! Someone yelled at my dog. It's like him just being like, I don't know how to solve this. Like, there's nobody's.
I broke his femur. You're welcome.
Yeah, nobody deserves to get hurt, but also.
I punched a tree.
And he's also like constantly day drunk because all the grasshoppers he's drinking.
yeah, that's right.
Man, I want to hang out with this guy.
Incredible Batman pitch. Yeah. I need you to settle this one, Richard.
Okay.
I say it's a mistake for Jack Hawksmoor to communicate with Gotham. It fucks him up. It gives him brain poisoning. Adal says Jack Hawksmoor takes the fight with Batman because he'll just know Gotham better. You got to break the tie. Who wins? Jack Hawksmoor versus Batman in Gotham.
Oh, it's easy. It's Jack Hawksmoor. What he does is he presents himself as Crime Alley. It just breaks down Batman emotionally.
Right.
Mental terrorism.
Yeah, he makes every street Crime Alley. Martha!
There's just posters of Zorro everywhere.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's how he
works.
That's it.
All right, next question comes from We've Only Just Dan Dunn. Dan Dunn asks, what is the most romantic Apollo and Midnighter moment? Is it that part where they watch the squid?
No, that's Batman and Superman.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's got to be when they got married. They get married, I think, in the Run of Authority or in a Wildstorm comic. I'm pretty sure it's the Authority. They get married.
Really?
That's awesome. And for the time when that was written, I think that was pretty radical. Like, maybe not radical is not the best term, but
they might be well, I'm gonna swallow my words here, but they might be the first gay marriage in a superhero comic, or like in. Maybe not in comics, because there's all these like indie comics and stuff like that. But like for like superheroes, they might be the first one. I can't think of actual other gay superhero characters that made it to getting married. Like Batwoman, constantly like she never gets there. They always divert her somewhere else. It might be the superhero gay marriage first.
Does
Is that-
Midnighter have
absolutely.
a similar origin as Batman, or
No. It's not like he watched his parents. Like they didn't go see.
So what you're saying is that the wedding procession actually could be a 50-50 split.
Oh, right. Yeah. Someone could walk him down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably them getting married. That's romantic. I can't
Yeah,
think of another
absolutely,
particular
absolutely.
moment. Yeah.
No, they're again. I think from what I remember, it's all very well handled and like beautifully done. Where it's like they're just very loving. They're very affectionate, and there's no weirdness about it. From what I remember.
Yeah.
Rules.
And again, sort of from memory, I think Adal was right earlier when he said like, there's not really like the like, oh, gay guys on the team kind of thing where they're like included but still being like othered. Like for such a violent kind of otherwise kind of feels like it's going that direction book.
Yeah.
It treats them so well.
Yeah.
Like some props deserved there, I think.
That's
I like
awesome.
the way Steve Orlando writes Apollo and Midnighter. He did an Apollo and Midnighter 12-issue series in the DC continuity, and I like how Steve Orlando writes them, which is very like loving and affectionate, very sexy, like like that kind of playful thing of like, are you okay? How was the fight with the supervillain? But
Yeah.
also like, get over here, kind of like, I don't know. It's just it feels very authentic.
I have to assume, having not known this person you mentioned, I have to assume he's also an 80s lounge singer.
Steve Orlando. I mean,
Please welcome to the stage, Steve Orlando. Somewhere. Hello.
doing Richard Cheese covers.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I like the way that Steve Orlando takes Instagram photos.
Oh God, yeah,
What a snack.
yeah, thirst trap.
All right, let's move on to the next question from Flying Fox 1089, who asks, what broke the team up leading up to World's End?
I'm not familiar.
I think it's Captain Atom.
Really?
That miniseries that takes Captain Atom from DC and flings him into the Wildstorm universe. I think it makes him like, because he's got nuclear powers. I think it makes him unstable and
Nuclear powers.
nuclear powers. Yeah, it makes him unstable, and I think they realize that they can't send him back, and they also can't defuse him. They have to kill him, and he doesn't want that to happen. But also, he's losing control of his powers. I think he kills Apollo. He maybe kills the engineer or the doctor. Someone else, like a couple of them die. It like breaks the team, and I think at the end of that, it also they release the baby universe or something. Like they rewrite their universe at the end of that Captain Atom story.
Please tell me, you said they have to diffuse Captain Atom, which I'm now understanding is ATOM after your explanation.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Before I was hearing it as Captain Atom, and I'm like, that sounds like a fucking cereal. But please tell me there's a moment where if they're diffusing Captain Atom, they like cut open his chest and hold him down, and then someone's like, red wire or I guess red wire.
Yeah, they wipe the sweat.
Yeah. They're just cutting his veins, treating it like
he's just out loud counting down 7, 6.
Is there a superhero named like Has Matthew who's just like
Has Matthew would be a great Dial H. He's in there with Ladder Boner Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Captain Atom is just quantum energy in a containment, sentient quantum energy in a containment suit.
Oh, that can
and I think but I think in that story, Apollo.
Also, it's Snakes and Ladders. That's his name.
Snakes.
Ooh, yeah.
God damn it.
Sorry, I had to get that in there.
I think a bunch of the Authority end up dying because of his powers and that. He ends up kind of back in the DC universe at the end of that, and their universe gets rewritten. But I don't remember what happens between that and the World's End story. But I assume some of them stay dead. And maybe that's why the team is
by choice.
Kind of, by choice, of course. Because why wouldn't you choose that?
Yeah. That's the dream. All right, let's move on to the next and final question from Ryan P.
All right.
In public? Jeez. Go somewhere else. He's writing his name. All right, Ryan asks, if the Elite from Action Comics number 775 and the Authority met, what would happen?
So they made an animated movie out of that Action Comics issue. But have you heard of the Elite? Are you familiar with that team?
No.
There's sort of the point of that Action Comics 775 is that this super team shows up, and it's got Manchester Black, who's psychic. It's got this guy Cold Cast, who I think is like electricity powers. The Hat, who's like a magician who can pull things out of his hat. Let
me just stop to say, please hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. For a living, I just want to write superhero names. I want to come up with superhero names, and I feel like I could do a much better job than what I'm hearing. Now. Please.
We get you a time machine. You just go back to 1980s and rewrite.
Like the Hat, his name should be Preston Digitation.
Oh shit. Oh, I like that.
Maybe that's not great, but better than the Hat.
No, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, but where does he pull stuff from?
I mean, okay, the Preston Digitation thing is a good name because you said Captain Adam. You thought his name was Adam. His name is Captain Nathaniel Adams, and then he becomes Captain Atom.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, the Elite are this super team that show up. They're a bit more, gritty, hyper violent. They'll kill a villain. They'll say, like, this guy has caused so much death and destruction, we'll kill him. And that issue is about, for a while, the people of Metropolis are like, I think maybe we're done with Superman's brand of justice. I think this is what we want. And Superman does this kind of like Hail Mary move where he uses all of his powers to fake killing the Elite. Like, he makes it look like he's like, I agree with you, and then goes and kills them. But really, he's using his like super speed and all his different powers to sort of trick them. And he sort of exposes that, like, that's not the way to do it. That's fear. That's like it's this big kind of moment for Superman where it ends with this great monologue where he talks about how, like, he'll never stop fighting. He'll never change his methods.
He's never going to give you up. He's never going to
He'll never give you up. He'll never let you down. It's a big issue, but it's sort of like a rejection of the hyperviolence thing. So if you took that Elite team and then the Authority, sort of two kind of sides of the same idea, what would happen? What happens when they meet? Do they see each other as threats, or do they go like, we should be one team, or do they go like, maybe there's only room for one of us?
Oh, interesting.
I think the type of so like I said, the Authority tends to be aware of like the destruction they cause, but it's all for the greater good. I think, unfortunately, those types of personalities, or the brains that think that, tend to think that they are like always justified in what they do, and they see, and sometimes they see allies as like stepping on their toes or the enemy. So I feel like that's a slippery slope sometimes, where it's like, if I decide justice, then no one else can tell me what justice is, or like, if you're doing it wrong. Like,
almost like there's parallels to real society.
Oh, absolutely. But unfortunately, but yeah, I feel like there would be a butting of heads.
Yeah, I think also the Elite kind of revel in the violence more than the Authority. I mean, Midnighter loves a good beaten. Like, he revels in the violence, but like, again, I think they always do it with the goal of saving lives, and the Elite kind of are more like, no, this is just like what we do. Like, they're kind of, that's sort of a badder version.
So maybe
they're more villainous, I guess is what I'm saying.
So maybe confronting the Authority with themselves, like putting a mirror to themselves with a slightly worse version, they see both of them as being problematic, and they stop both of them.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you put the Authority in that issue of Superman, so like Metropolis is like, thank you, Superman, for your service, but like, I think you're not solving our problems by letting these villains live. Yeah. And they go, we're going to embrace these more violent guys, and the Elite are doing that. And then the Authority show up and maybe take down the Elite, but they take them down with their methods. Yeah. Maybe it does the same sort of thing as what Superman does in that story, which is show how horrifying that brand of heroism can be.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I don't want to be controversial, but the only way to stop a villain with superpowers is a good guy with superpowers. Okay?
Thank you. No registration. No.
If you see behind me on my wall, I have displayed several superpowers.
Yeah, I'm going to bring a superpower right into the House of Congress.
I don't believe a lot of people say superpowers are more likely to kill someone in the family than a villain, but I don't believe in that. I think that's bullshit. And I know that Obama's coming for my superpowers. You're not going to get him, Obama.
Yeah. Well, and Beto is trying to buy back my superpowers. I'm not going to sell. I got to hang on to these. Yeah.
Do we have any more?
That's my Second Amendment superpower.
There
rights.
it is.
The Second Amendment. I love the idea that like in 1780 they were like, we should put something in here about superpowers.
You never know.
I should be able to go to Walmart and buy superpowers. That is my goddamn right.
Yeah, I want to go into a Subway with like 7 oversized superpowers strapped to me.
What do you mean? This just because the superpower can kill everyone doesn't mean that it should be
Doesn't
limited.
mean that I would.
Yeah.
Hey, while I'm walking around, I'll conceal my superpowers, okay?
This is an open carry superpower state. God, what a nightmare.
That's
what
awful.
an absolute nightmare.
I'm saying they can have the ability, but they need to be given the actual power. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I lock my superpowers away in a safe box.
Here's the thing. If you take away superpowers from law-abiding citizens, you're not addressing the problem of how people that were already going to break the law were going to get superpowers anyway.
Hey, can I tell you something? And I need you to understand this. I use my superpowers for hunting, okay? It's for hunting. It's for hunting. That's why I need these superpowers. My intestines are a nuclear reactor because I like to hunt. That's all.
My intestines are a nuclear reactor. Oh, God. Adal's come up with so many great characters.
I know. Unbelievable. What we need to be concerned about is the people with superpowers up there in Canada, because they're going to come down here to America. And then what are we going to do? We don't have any. How are we going to defend ourselves?
Yep. We're just biding our time.
That's right.
Joe Biden time.
And that was the last question, but we are not done. It's time for everyone's favorite game.
Okay.
Can you guess the name of the character based
Jeopardy?
on someone who does not read comic books can describe those characters to us? So if you don't know this game, I send a photo of a DC character to my wife who neither reads comic books nor cares for them. She sends back 4 clues describing what she sees. Our guest and the doctor try to figure out who she was referring to.
You can guess as many times as you want.
That's
you
right.
can wait for more clues. There's no wrong way to play. Just trying to figure out who this character is.
That's right. Are you both ready for some
And just
clues?
just to clear it up beforehand, why maybe this is too much of a clue. Is this just DC general, or is it like authority related, or
It's
or
could
just
it's
could be
not
anyone.
authority related.
Could be anyone. Okay,
All right. First clue.
sure.
Vigo's twin.
Okay, looks like
Okay.
Vigo.
Vigo,
I'll give
first,
Vigo from Ghostbusters.
He is, okay, he is Vigo.
Yes.
Oh, it's not Vigo Mortensen.
No, I know because I
Vigo's-
saw the glimmer in your eyes.
Yeah.
And so
So we're talking about someone older with a very crinkled forehead,
Right.
perhaps a portrait. Most likely a Carpathian. Vigo's twin. Oh boy, who looks like Vigo?
I mean, kind of
Uh-huh.
old guy vibes, eh?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have a guess, Adal?
Not based off that. I can't think of. I'm trying to think of like it's got to be a villain. I feel like villains are always
Right.
older men,
Yeah.
so I feel like it has to be a villain. I'm gonna say Vulture.
No,
I feel
but
like
I
Vulture's an older guy. I'm just going with like the bald thing, I guess.
I'm
But
gonna-
Vigo does have hair.
I'm gonna shoot my shot. I'm gonna say Felix Faust.
no.
Okay.
Next clue.
All right.
Mrs. Doubtfire at a BDSM club.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
I'm fucking you to try and I'm pegging you to try and win back my kids.
Oh no.
Yeah, but accidentally double books. He has to peg someone as himself, and then also as Mrs. Doubtfire. He has to keep going back and forth between rooms.
The whole time. It was a drive-by fruiting. Mrs. Doubtfire. This is the same character?
Yep.
Mrs. Doubtfire at a BDSM party.
Yep.
Okay, so Vigo's twin,
Yeah.
but also has to give off Doubtfire vibes.
Yeah.
With maybe like wearing tight leather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tight. I mean,
Hang on. So we're talking about old woman who could possibly also pass as like old man.
Mhm.
Wait, are you describing Cat Grandma, Catwoman's mother, who's not pulling it off?
Yeah, cat matriarch.
Oh my god! Surprisingly not, but what a great pull.
Is this Granny Goodness?
This is Granny Goodness.
Oh yeah.
Oh. She's the one who trains what's his name's army?
That's right.
Yeah, Darkseid's army. That's right. Yeah, and she has like a torture orphanage where she raised Mr. Miracle and
Tortureness.
we've
for maybe
never been able to crack that.
I
pun.
know.
Here's how dumb I am. For maybe like 4 years while reading comics and not hearing these names said aloud, I was like, Darkseid.
Right. Yeah.
And then somebody was like, oh, have you read anything with Darkseid? And I'm like, no.
Who the
And they're
fuck's
like,
that?
oh,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but I've read this. And they're like, yeah, Darkseid. I'm like, you mean Darkseid? And they're like, oh, buddy,
my
you need to sit
dad
down.
my dad had the same thing with Reverse Flash. He thought his name was Eobard Thane, and then he started watching the show. He's like, I'm gonna keep saying his name wrong. Keep calling him Thun.
I
And
thought you were going to say
"It's
like
Thun."
it's
Like,
reverse for the flesh.
like you couldn't say Reverse Flash. Yeah, Reverse Flesh.
Yeah, I don't understand. Is that who you're talking about?
So this is DC, right?
Yeah,
That's
Darkseid?
correct.
So here's what I'm thinking. DC stands for dumb characters. Marvel stands for magnificent. Adal Rifai very enjoys literature.
It's weird. You came in with that notebook. I didn't know what was on it. Now I understand.
yeah.
Oh no, this is all the letters I wrote to my wife who now has amnesia.
Oh no. So sad.
Oh my god.
And every day I read her this comic and she
50
remembers
First Dates.
just for an instant.
This is like a sadder version of the Notebook.
Yeah.
The comic book.
That's what I was going for.
Just the comic book.
The other clues that my wife provided, which were carries around their vibrator.
Oh yeah, because she's got the one of those mega rod things.
Yes, she does. And
Which is not a name that doesn't sound like a vibrator.
well, exactly,
So, yeah.
Mega Rod.
Oh, I know where I
1000.
just saw her was I watched the animated Harley Quinn show.
Right.
Oh,
So good.
Yes.
really good.
Outstanding. And there's a whole side story with her.
Yeah. Granny Goodness is in there, and there's a little glimpse of her in the latest Snyder Cut trailer.
That's right.
She's there in a scene with Darkseid.
Final clue was Evil Grandma.
Evil Grandma, yeah.
Adal, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us and talking the authority. Do you have things you want to plug, where people can find you online?
Yeah.
Talk about Hey Riddle Riddle?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on social media at Adal Rifai, spelled ADALRIFAI. That's my first and last name. And you can check out my podcast.
I get it, okay?
I mean, what's so hard about the name Adal Shoki Rifai? It's just your classic Palestinian Swedish name. Everyone should be able to say it immediately.
I changed my last name. I'm actually Middle Eastern too. Legitimately, my last name used to be Kasoyan, and I was like, this is way too complicated.
Kasoyan.
I like how you also gave up on your own name. That's
Yeah.
how bad at names you are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Continue, sorry.
Oh, yeah. And you can check out my podcast, Hey Riddle Riddle and Hello from the Magic Tavern, wherever you find podcasts. And, oh, yeah, if you haven't watched that Harley Quinn show, oh, boy, it's so good. And then also something I've been into that I'm sure me recommending comics to your audience is probably embarrassing, but I'll say it anyway because I'm enjoying it. I've read a lot of Tom King stuff recently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, oh, boy, he's great. And that's where I saw Granny Goodness was I read his run of who's the escape artist?
Mr. Miracle.
I read his run of Mr. Miracle, which was outstanding. And there's a huge Darkseid Granny Goodness story in there. And then
Have you been reading Strange
Batman
Adventures?
No, what's that?
It's the series he's currently writing. It's about Adam Strange,
Yeah.
but it's got a sort of similar tonal vibe to Mr. Miracle. So if you like that, you
Very
might like
cool.
Strange Adventures.
Yeah, and
And
doing
again,
the version of Adam Strange I really like. Yeah.
That's I'll check that
The
out
like
immediately.
possibly war criminal version.
Yeah.
And again, I apologize because me coming on here and recommending Tom King is like me coming on a musical theater podcast and being like, y'all should check out this thing called Cats.
It's so funny that you brought up Cats. That's an ongoing thing.
Cats, the bane of my existence.
Yeah, no, and I mean, at the end of the day, we want this podcast to be for anybody. So there are people who are just brand new into comics, and we want to hear from them.
And Adal is right. Check out those Tom King books, Mr. Miracle, Strange Adventures.
But if you
Those are
want
awesome.
to reach out to us, you can do it through our various social media platforms, such as our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com,
Reddit,
r/Dr_DC.
I'm sorry, I know that he's getting whiplash right now. It's a cold bucket of water all over him. So many platforms all at once. But give us a phone call at our doc phone.
208-917-3238.
Go to our website,
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
5-star review on iTunes.
Give us the reviews.
Yeah, Daddy wants reviews.
Yum, 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 yum.
Tastes so good.
So I feel like it's Batman wearing turquoise. He's holding up his stereo in front of Santa Fe, and the name of the comic is Santa Fe Anything.
Oh. Say no.
It's a rom-com starring Batman in Santa Fe.
Point blank, that was perfect. Gross point blank, that was perfect.
Yeah.
That is it for this week.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Adios.
Ciao.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.